That was great.
Yeah, hey, look, we're off to a good start.
You were dancing, weren't you? Okay, good.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, hello, and welcome to another episode of Carvers and Creators, a weekly demonstration and discussion with sculptors, carvers, and multi-talented artists from around the world. If you're a fan of the show and you like what we do, make sure you give us a like and a follow on the platform you're watching us on. And be sure to mention where you're watching us from in the comments. My name's Paul Dever. I'm an artist and sculptor from Boston, Massachusetts. And with me, as always, is my co-host and artist and sculptor from Tucson, Arizona, Matt Harper.
Hello.
Our guest tonight. Oh my God, sorry, Matt. I jumped all over it. I'm so excited.
Right. I just want to say hello. I was excited. I'm nervous.
So excited.
Back to you.
This guy. Our guest tonight is an Academy Award-winning makeup artist with over 800 feature film and television credits. That's unbelievable?
Yeah, I think so too.
Oh my God.
It's a lot of work.
He's also the co-founder of K&B FX Group. Their work can be seen in Inglourious Bastards, The Chronicles of Narnia trilogy, Kill Bill 1 and 2, Splice, The Green Mile, just to name a few. Please welcome from Sherman Oaks, California, the legendary Howard Berger.
Oh, thanks. Pshaw. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's an honor.
Really happy to be here.
What a treat. Yeah, we get Paul and I are like bursting at the seams. We got so many questions and just absolutely love all your stuff. So anyway, I'll just I'll pause because I'm going to get giddy and start talking over myself. Sorry, but we're happy you're here.
Yeah,
So,
I'm happy I'm here too. Thanks.
So cool. So the format of the show is each week we get to interview one of our favorite artists, and we also take a carving challenge that puts us outside our carving zone, our comfort zone, while we carve and talk to you. So we like to take a look back on last week's carving, and last week's carving selection from the wheel and our guest was Sexy Witch. And in my opinion, that's about as sexy as I can make a witch.
Well, it's a sexy witch, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very
That's
good.
that's her sexy face. She doesn't know it's not that sexy, but
Witches get confused easy. That's the problem.
she looks great in the right lighting. Just don't turn them on.
That's right. Exactly.
No, I love the expression, Paul. This is I really do like this one a lot of yours.
Thanks. I got to get back to that a little more with the sort of the whimsical, twisted faces. We go so long, Howard, carving the butternut squash once pumpkins are gone. And they're a real different kind of medium to carve on. It's like a firm monster clay that you're just digging into that really only has one small center at the bottom in the bell.
Right.
Whereas that beach ball is just about completely hollow, and you got to watch every stroke so you don't bust into the middle. It's like a game.
Yeah. No, I think it's incredible. I was looking at a bunch of these, and obviously I know like Andy Burkholz is a good friend, and
Awesome.
He's a master pumpkin carver, and I just sit there. I'm like, I don't know if I even have the patience for it. I'm super impressed with what you guys do. So it's great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's take a look at Matt's, because I love this one.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That looks like it's chiseled out of stone.
Yeah,
And
that's really cool.
I found a really cool kind of, how like I got it at Trader Joe's. They have like these kind of ornate looking, wild looking pumpkins. So this one was, when you peeled it, it was like green inside instead. So instead of like an orange, so it kind of lent itself to a really ugly witch, which was trying to do a little kissy face too, But,
so good, man. From the bridge of the nose to the wrinkles that they all tie in right, and the use of the skin from the pumpkin, all the colors work together. Jesus, it should be on a mug.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Thank you guys. Thank
Well
you.
done, sir. Top 3. I'm gonna say top 3 from you of all time, man. It's one of my favorites. All right, so with that being said, we'd like to introduce you to the third member of Carvers and Creators, responsible for our carving challenge tonight.
Oh,
I think I jumped past it, Paul.
So you can go right. I figured you could go right
to you.
Yeah, go right to me. So this is the wheel, the Hello wheel, as we like to call it. Yeah, the center spinner. Depending on what it gives us, we give it a different name. Usually it has some sort of a bad word involved in it when it stops spinning. So what we're going to do is we're going to spin the wheel twice. The first spin is going to be the character to which we have to try to carve, and the second spin will be the emotion or attribute we have to apply to the carving. So tonight, our first spin will either be a Viking, werewolf, guest choice, so have one ready, undead, witch, vampire, clown, Frank, goblin, or aquatic. Frank obviously being short for Frankenstein. Every now and then, if we don't want to cover Frankenstein, we'll carve anybody named Frank.
Frank Sinatra.
It's in the rules. Second spin will be emaciated, distraught, shocked, guest choice once again, crazy, devious, excited, furious, sad, or battered. Those be the choices. Are we ready?
Yeah, go for
it. Clown.
Oh, wow, clown.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've done a couple clowns.
Come on, battered clown.
Oh, wow, look at that. You willed it. A battered clown.
Powerball tonight? Yeah, I might want to play the lottery.
Wow, okay.
Battered. There you go, battered clown. Battered clown.
Right on.
And I know everyone's going to go get their tools. A lot of people carve along with us or create along with us, but cool. There's a bunch of really great comments. So I just wanted to at least throw a couple of these up because it's
hey, Bianca.
Yeah.
Hey, Springfield, Mass. Thanks for tuning in.
Great folks.
Very
and then
cool.
we got from Shell Lake, Wisconsin. I'm
Woo!
sure that's a great place, wonderful place. Yeah, let's see here. We got a few more. So here, this one's great. Matt's carve is outstanding. I'll take that one.
I figured you'd tune in on that one. That's so weird. Yeah, McFrazzle's Stash is here. Joey's here. Lorette. Hey guys.
Yeah, we got a bunch of our regulars. Anyway, just really nice to see all of you guys back chiming in. So please continue and
Fuller.
Free to ask Howard questions too. Feel free. We got a lot to talk about tonight.
Cool. John says sup nerds. That's not nice.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
but it's so true. It's so true. All right, so this point of the show, before we actually get to carving, like Matt said, we're going to give you guys a couple of minutes if you do want to take the challenge. And if you do post it, make sure you send it to us, and we'd love to share it and keep the fun going. We are going to go around the horn and see what everybody's drinking for a beverage tonight, because it is bad luck to carve without a toast. Little known fact, it's a professional trick and tip. You have to have a drink before you carve a pumpkin. So
nice.
Doesn't matter if it's coffee or water. In our case, we're a little older, so the joints don't work like they used to. So the carving oil helps get us going. Sure. Matt, do you want to start us off tonight?
I would love to. So I'm having a thing called a Prickly Pear Wheat Ale from Grand Canyon Brewery. So Howard, I'm not the biggest craft beer fan, so this is about as far as I'll go. But this looks kind of delightful, and I live in where there's lots of prickly pear cactus. So
sure.
Let's see if they make it any good.
Probably make your own if you have prickly pear cactus, I think.
That's right. I just go in the yard and pick them and throw them, ferment them, and here we go.
Yeah. Let the javelina step on them. All right. So for me, I'm drinking something called White Cap Wheat from Kushnock Brewing in, geez, the writing's so small. I feel like it didn't used to be so small. It's from somewhere in Maine. I like the cans.
The can looks cool.
Yeah, the can's pretty cool. Wait, there we go.
Yeah.
There you go. Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah. It looks like the Camel Joe ad for cigarettes. Like almost like the beer is geared towards children somehow. Yet I bought it. So what's that say about me?
All right, Howard. What are you sipping on?
I'm so boring, guys. I'm so sorry. I should have made a martini, the classic martini. Instead, I just have plain old water. I'm so sorry.
That's right.
I have to go. You know what? I have to go out tonight afterwards, so it's better that I just do the water. I'll get my martini later. But yeah,
there we go. We'll cheers to you regardless, because it's a beverage, and we can all just toast to a fun fun night. Ooh, that's interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was good. Great water. Delicious water.
Oh, is that California water?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Filtered California water.
Is that like $40 a glass at this point, I would imagine?
Probably close.
Yeah, we got a good comment here. Those jack-o'-lanterns behind you are very festive and amazing.
He's there.
Yeah.
Thanks, John. Yeah, that's from John. John Fuller's excellent.
Yeah,
no, actually, these are like part of my Halloween decorations. So my wife and I do the house and the outside of the house huge. So
nice.
I just pulled these guys in. I'm like, why not? It kind of fits with the motif of today. So thought I'd bring some cool headless horseman pumpkin heads in.
I love it.
There you have it.
It is appreciated, and we appreciate having you here.
Thank you.
So let's start at the beginning, Maddie, because I know from reading some of the book, it's such a cool story the way that you got going on this. I mean, and it's the classic story, right? Your parents were behind you on it. and all of a sudden the ball's rolling. And how old are you in this picture?
I am, I think I'm like 16 or 17 years old. So that's from high school. So I might be 16 years old. And like, I made tons of masks, and that's how I taught myself how to do this, you know, and because I felt like sculpting a mask and taking it all the way through from, you know, design, sculpture, mold making, so forth and so on, I would learn every aspect that I would need to know. So I just kept making masks, and my room was filled with masks. So, I mean, this is just barely a handful of stuff I did when I was a kid. And I started in my bedroom, and then after I destroyed my bedroom, my parents built like a little workshop for me outside, and I just worked out there all the time, all through, you know, my young days and teenage days and high school and all that good stuff. So I keep thinking, like, I can't remember what happened to all my masks I made. I was just saying that to my wife. I'm like, I don't know what happened to all of it. Just like one day it was all gone. Maybe my mom threw it all out when I left the house. So I'm not sure, but
maybe she has a giant scrapbook of flat.
I don't know. I just wish I could like one day find a box and I'm like, oh my God, here's all the masks I made, because there was some pretty cool stuff. So
they got to be somewhere. That's the thing. You know?
I don't know. I cannot remember for the life of me where the hell all those great masks are. But yeah, I have a photo of me in my bedroom as a kid, and the room is just filled with masks. I loved them. I still do. I think making masks is the most fun ever.
Yeah. So the start to actually learning how to make the masks came from you just sculpting on like what foam.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I went to this great makeup store that's still around called Friends Beauty Supply. It was then called Sig Friends, and I bought this book that Michael Westmore is a great makeup artist. Yeah. That Michael had written called Theatrical Makeup Techniques. And I did everything in the book it said to do. And I followed it, you know, to the T, and just kept teaching myself. And then I was lucky enough to, I grew up in LA, so that was a great thing. And I was able to hunt down Stan Winston as a kid. I was like 12 years old, and his shop was about 2 miles away from my house, and I could walk there. So I packed up all my stuff, which was probably pretty crappy, and a couple of photos, and I went and I knocked on the door, and he answered and let me in and looked through a bunch of stuff. And I mean, he was really nurturing. I hunted Rick Baker down, you know, I stalked Rick Baker.
I love that story.
When I was a kid. Yeah, I'm still a massive Rick Baker fan. Yeah. And I just really was thirsty to learn everything. And you know, I would go home, do my homework. You know, after school, I'd go home, do my homework as fast as I could, so I could go outside to the workshop and just work all night long until my mom came and it's like, it's time to go to bed because you got to get up and go to school tomorrow. But I just had monsters on the brain ever since I was a little kid, probably about, you know, maybe 6 years old. I kind of connected like, wow, these are cool, and there must be somebody who makes all these monsters for movies. So it was exciting. So I love it. I love it.
Was there a favorite character, like when you were like, I imagine you were younger and you just saw something on like a Saturday morning TV or a movie? Was there one character like blew you away, Wolfman?
I mean, I love all the Universal monster movies, but my all-time favorite is The Creature from the Black Lagoon. So like I saw that and I was like, my head was spinning in circles. And you know, my mom was an artist, and she drew this full-size picture or drawing of the creature on butcher paper that she put on my bedroom door. So at night, when she would close the door when I go to bed, I could look at the creature all night long, which most kids would be freaked out about. Yeah, but it was a great drawing she did, and I mean, my parents encouraged me, which was so nice, and that's such a big part of being successful. Having your family encourage you and support you, and I had it. I was very lucky, and I have 3 younger sisters, and they were all my guinea pigs. So, you know, all of them had makeups put on. My sister Heidi, my eldest sister, is missing still a portion of her eyebrow from me that I had torn off like a latex piece, and it just never grew back. And she likes to point that out all the time. But all my sisters became my victims, you know, and my subjects. So it was really cool. It was really cool.
I love it.
Yeah.
This is an amazing picture too. So I mean, this is kind of the beginning of. This isn't the beginning of your career, obviously, but this is way back early.
Yeah, this
Tell us
was
about
like
working on this set.
It was great. I mean, I worked for Kevin Yeager, who designed and built Chucky, and Kevin is one of the geniuses of our industry, and he's a phenomenal artist, clear across the board. But I was lucky enough to be working for Kevin Yeager at the time, and he invited me to be a puppeteer on set. So I puppeteered. I was one of the many puppeteers. The other guy in the photo right there, that's Lauren Soman, who was one of the key puppeteers. I think he was doing Chucky's arms or something. But I was in charge of the cosmetics. So if Chucky's hands would get dirty all the time, they'd get filthy, and I would have to keep switching them out, like probably 2 or 3 times, 4 times during the day, and then anything with his face, and then I puppeteered underneath that floor. So I think this was probably Friday night, really late at night. We've had a long week because that look on my face is like, I'm ready to go home now. Yeah. But I was so young, and it was such a great opportunity that Kevin got me, because I got into SAG as a puppeteer. I still get residuals from Child's Play, which is amazing. Wow. And it was really fun to be a part of. I mean, we never know how movies are going to be or how they're going to be accepted. So we were making this movie. It was the first time something like this was ever built. These full animatronic puppets, and it was pretty mind-blowing. And now Chucky is an iconic horror character, right up there with Freddy and Frankenstein and Leatherface and so forth. And people love Chucky. So he's been around a long time, but it all started at Kevin Yeager's. He was the first guy.
I love crazy. You
Such
talked about go ahead, Paul.
I was saying, pictures like that were just some of the funniest pictures, or the pictures that you don't think at the time. Like you said, you're just doing another movie at the time, but then to look back on it now, it's like you said, that's an iconic character in one of the craziest horror movies of its time. And there you are, pissed off at it.
No, I wasn't pissed. I think I'm just tired. I was never pissed ever. I was really thankful to be on the show and very grateful for it.
So great.
But yeah, it's cool. It was really cool. For the longest time, I had a bag of Chucky hands. They're all disintegrated now, but his fingers would just get so dirty, and I'd look. I'm like, okay, I got to change his hands out again. And we had hundreds and hundreds of hands. They're all foam rubber. I would have to take the mechanism, which was a metal aluminum mechanism that was built by the mechanical guys, and put KY all over them and slide the hands on, and then the hands would be all good to go until they started to get dirty. Fingertips always got dirty real fast, and there's no way to clean it. Can't clean it Chucky's fingers ever.
A bag of Chucky fingers. That's their Chucky.
Pretty much.
You don't usually hear that very often.
Yeah.
You're talking about Rick and
Rick Baker.
Yeah, and no, so this movie was insanely iconic as well. I mean, I don't know about it at the time, but I know certainly now it's a.
I think it was amazing. I was lucky enough. Rick hired me to work on Harry and the Hendersons, and this actually is at the prop store. This is when they were about to get ready for the auction, Rick Baker's auction.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
So I went to go preview it, and there were all the Harry heads, and I'm like, oh man, that brings back great memories. But I mean, it's a beautiful character. I mean, Rick won an Academy Award for Best Makeup, as well he should. And it was really fun to watch that character come to life at Rick Baker's studio and be privy to see how Rick was doing things. I learned a lot. It was a great privilege to work with Rick Baker. I mean, he sculpted that head, and it was like in record time. Like he sculpted it so fast. It felt like it was a day or a night or maybe 2 nights. But he's a super fast sculptor and really outstanding everything he does. But I love Harry. It was just great to see it. And that's another film that, really was groundbreaking, because there had never been anything done like that, like a full animatronic. I mean, it's Kevin Peter Hall played Harry, but he's wearing a full mechanical head, a combination of cables and radio control, and something like that had never been done to that extent. And be so expressive and so full of life. And, the combination of the beautiful work Rick Baker did combined with the beautiful performance that Kevin Peter Hall did brought Harry to life. I mean, you don't ever think once that that's not a real Bigfoot.
No.
Right.
I'm still confused to this day.
Yeah.
Because the expression in the eyes that ties in with the like when he's sitting watching TV and he's watching it was at the Three Stooges, right?
Yeah.
And he just starts cracking up. I'll still watch it to this day, and Rick Baker himself could tell me how he did it, and I'd go, I don't believe it.
Yeah. No,
that's a real Bigfoot.
Yeah, Harry is a really great character. Really quite brilliant.
Oh my god!
And you got to work on it.
I did. I was very excited. So yeah, this is early days. This is 1984 on Day of the Dead. This is actually I think this is my very first day on Day of the Dead.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, it's like I lived in this really crappy apartment with my roommate, Everett Burrell, who's now a big visual effects supervisor. And anyhow, we had our friends that we worked with over at another shop, at John Beekler's shop, John Bullich, who sadly has passed away. Johnny was on Day of the Dead. And so they needed more people. And Johnny had recommended myself and Everett Burrell to fly out to Pittsburgh and be part of the crew for Tom Savini. So we were super excited. This was like our college. But I mean, Everett and I were like 18 years old or 19 years old. And we flew to Pittsburgh and got to work with Tom Savini, and that's where I met Greg Nicotero, who's been my best friend and brother for 40 years, and and started K&B 35 years ago together. And it was a great. I met so many great people, and getting to work with Tom Savini was amazing, and he trusted all of us to do all these makeups. And this is a character called Beef Treats that's in the beginning of the movie, and I'll tell you a little story. No, this is how I know it was day one. So Everett and I flew in. I had just finished working on Return of the Living Dead, hence that T-shirt, Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
So I come downstairs to get ready. We all carpool together, and everyone's quiet, looking at me, and I'm like, "What?" And Savini, I think it was Savini, or maybe Greg said, George Romero's in a lawsuit with those guys because they're not allowed to be making that movie, but they did. It was like John Russo and all. There was a copyright infringement going on. And I'm like, oh, that's great. My first day, I'm wearing the Enemies T-shirt. and that was the last day I ever wore that shirt. But I had it. We had to go. We were late for work. And it's like, Tom's like, yeah, just try to, don't go say hi to George today, because he's going to be pissed that you're wearing that shirt. I'm like, that's just a great way to start the show. Day one.
Right.
First impressions.
Yeah, wearing the Enemies T-shirt. That was brilliant. So
right.
And I had my little Mr. Cotter mustache going on.
I like that. Yeah, this is
yeah. I honestly thought it was Tom Selleck at first.
Yeah, well, for
a split second.
Yeah, 1984. That was the cool.
That was the look. Yeah.
Yes, that was the look. I think my hair's probably up or whatever. Yeah, and then this is from Nightmare 5, I think, and these change-o heads we had to do, these growing, like Lisa Wilcox, who's one of the actresses in the show, and she's merging with Freddy and all this crazy stuff and all. So we did a series. Bob Kurtzman, who was with K&B at the time, and myself and Greg Nicotero built all these heads, and they were really cool. We shot them second unit on a sound stage, and yeah, they're really fun to do. So there I am, puppeteering. It was like a 12-hour day. It should have been like a 4-hour day, but the guy that was directing it was like working on his directorial reel. And I was just like, dude, can we just wrap this up already? My arms are like totally racked up at this point because I'm puppeteering these Freddy heads. And he's like, okay, now do this. And I'm like, I think we got it. It's literally like if you sneeze while you're watching the movie, you miss it. So,
and how many hours go into something like that? I'm sure it's like ungodly.
A lot. Yeah, no, it's a lot. I mean, it's I mean, that's the thing about the business. I mean, same with like, you guys spend all this time carving pumpkins, and then a couple days later they're in the trash. But I mean, we spend months and months doing this stuff, and there you see them for a split second. But I mean, that's, it used to be we'd be upset about it, but now it's all good. We're not that precious about it. And, the director and the filmmakers will utilize what we build however they feel, best suits the project. So I don't cry that much about it. So it's okay. But back then I'm like, wow, that was 12 hours of shooting, and literally it's, maybe 20 seconds at the most.
Speaking of that character.
Yeah. There's Freddy. That's right. So when I worked for Kevin Yeager, Kevin again, the guy just gave me great opportunities one after another. So he asked me, he said, "Do you want to go to set and apply Robert Englund's makeup for Nightmare 4?" And I'm like, Oh God, yes, absolutely. So there I am. There's Robert in our little crappy trailer, and I'm making up Robert. And Kevin designed and sculpted that makeup and figured out everything. I just applied it.
Yeah.
I piecemealed it together. It was great. And the first day I did it, Kevin was there, and he watched me do it just to keep an eye on me. And it took me about 4.5 hours, and that was because I was being really polite to Robert in the sense, or considerate, because Robert likes to talk a lot. And so I would always stop. So I'd be working, and Robert would then have to tell a story, and I'd stop and wait, and then I'd go back. So it was like 4.5 hours. And then after that, Kevin's like, dude, just go in there, grab him by the head. You can put your hand, do his makeup, grab, whatever, just get it done faster. By the end of the show, I had learned my lesson, and I had that makeup down to like 45 minutes.
Wow.
I could knock it out. So, but working with Robert Englund was so great. He's such a sweet guy. He's so not Freddy. As you can see there, he's smiling away, but he was just a joy. So I did Nightmare 4. I did a little bit of Freddy's Nightmares, and then I did a bunch of like tour days, because Robert would go like during the Halloween season. We'd go to Texas to a haunt or something, and Freddy would be there to introduce, like, welcome to the haunt,
Right, of course.
And then we'd clean him up, hop on a plane, go somewhere else. And so during the Halloween season, it was always really busy, and it was always great hanging out with Robert. And he's the best, man. And his skin took a beating, on Nightmare 4. They had a release date before they ever had a script. So we were just shooting like crazy. Trying to catch up, and we were like shooting up until like 2 weeks before the movie came out, and Robert was in that makeup every single day, sometimes 7 days a week. And
God.
it was rough. By the last day, he'd always have like little tears in his skin, and I'd have to put Band-Aids. It's mostly on his neck, on the soft part of his neck, and by Thursday night, or by Friday morning rather, I'd have to put a Band-Aid on his neck and put the pieces over the Band-Aid.
Oh my gosh.
It just got trashed.
What an iconic character. I'm assuming he never probably complained about it. He just was like, yes, it's part of it.
He never complained. So, and for Nightmare on Elm Street, the original Nightmare on Elm Street, Dave Miller was the makeup artist on that. He designed and created that makeup. And then Kevin Yeager took over from there. And then Kevin did the makeup up until whatever it was, part 5 or 4, or I can't recall. But that Kevin's makeup is my favorite. Like, I actually love the makeup from part 2. I think that makeup is super cool, because Freddy's still scary. He's got kind of a skull-looking face, and he's wearing contact lenses. After that, I think Robert was like, no more contact lenses. It's just he didn't like them. But that was a really beautiful makeup, I thought, and it's really intricate. It's a lot of pieces to glue down, as you can see. He's got a neck, a back of the head, a top of the head, ears, hands, all that crazy stuff.
He's covered.
Yeah.
Speaking of covered, this is this. I think it's Joe Pesci, right, in the desert.
This is the puppet that we built, and Greg went to set for this. Greg Nicotero went to set with us. So this is a puppet we built to Joe Pesci, and because obviously you couldn't throw Joe into a pit and bury him up and all that. So we built a couple different puppets, but this was we had so little time to build this, and I remember Wayne Toth, who I've worked with a bunch, is another super talented guy who owns a great Halloween store with his wife called Halloween Town.
Oh, I've been there in Burbank.
Yeah, it's the greatest place.
It's
Halloween
the best
Town.
ever. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's Halloween 24/7. 365 days a year. But Wayne and I literally sculpted this in a weekend and molded it. We had no time to get this done because the schedule pushed up. But yeah, we built this full mechanical puppet that's writhing in there and coughing, dirt up as they're burying him alive. And Greg did a great job orchestrating everything on set. So it was fun. That was our one time to get to work with Martin Scorsese. We did all the makeup effects in Casino. So we did this, and when Joe gets his head bashed in, and then the guy getting his eye popped out, or
the vice.
That was my first day on set, was doing that gag. Which was very tension. I was really like, oh God, I was with Wayne, and we had just flown in to Vegas. So we get to set, and Martin Scorsese comes over, and we meet Martin Scorsese, because up until that time it was just phone calls.
Okay.
And he's like, okay, well, let's go to set. And we go to set, and he's like, hey, Howard, this is Bob, and this is Joe.
Wow.
I'm like, so Martin Scorsese just introduced us to Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci.
And I looked at, and we're gonna shoot this stuff on set. We had a great day, And I looked at Wayne afterwards. I said, if we flew home tonight and the plane crashed, I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it can't get any better than that. We just met Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci being introduced to them by Martin Scorsese. I'm like, this is insane. But, you know, you get those times, you get those days
Oh, I know.
where you're just like, what the hell? This is incredible.
And we're gonna talk about other folks that you've come across. But I mean, so what an absolute treat to not only meet these guys, but then recreate them as a dead body or an alien or a zombie or something. I mean, it's staggering. So do you get like some really good feedback from some of those guys about what you turn around and create in your studio makes and stuff of, you know, making them look literally terrible, you know, perfect.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, it's when we build stuff or we design things, you know, if it's a specific actor, we like to have them involved to some degree. I mean, granted, we'll come up with initial ideas along with the producer or along with the director rather. But, you know, if we're doing something like, I'll use Hitchcock as a point of reference. So when we did that makeup on Sir Anthony Hopkins, you know, I really involved Tony into the mix because I wanted to come up with something that worked well for the film, but also didn't inhibit him. And we did 6 different tests, 6 different full makeups on Tony until we hit the right one. And even that, you know, it was the night before we finally like, okay, this is what we're going to go with.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, you're always, you know, try to make actors privy to stuff. I mean, you know, another example is for The Amazing Spider-Man 2, we did Electro on Jamie Foxx. So Greg Nicotero handled all the design work, the initial design work on the show with the director, Mark Webb, and they landed on what that character looked like. So I went to go see Jamie. We had like a body scan and some life casting, and I brought all the artwork. And I said, listen, before we start the show, I just want to show you what we're planning, and I want to make sure you're okay with it because it's going to be big. You know, you're going to be covered in silicone appliances and all this and this. I showed him everything, walked him through everything, and he was totally up for it and was like one of the greatest guys to work with, you know, Jamie Foxx, and so amenable to it. And I mean, he went through a lot, contact lenses and dentures, and I was on him all the time, and we had a great time. He made it super fun and positive. His days would start sometimes at 3 a.m.
Jesus.
He had to be ready for set like at 6:30, 7, and it was a pretty big makeup when we did the full body stuff. But yeah, it's you know, it's great, you know, and a lot of people will say like, oh, you work with all these actors, there must be some real monsters. No, that's not true. Actors are wonderful. I love working with actors. I can't do my job without actors.
Yeah.
And you know, I always say we bring a certain percentage to the table, and then the actors do the rest. You know, they bring it to life. So I can do a makeup, and it looks really great, and then I can rely on the actor to bring it to life, and that's what's so cool about it. You know.
This is a good question actually. After being in the business so long, have the roles flipped? Because I would be on a set and be, oh my God, that's Howard Berger. Yeah.
Well, I'm always excited. I'm a total fanboy about everybody. So I get really excited when I get to see people or meet people. And yeah, no, I mean, you know, I think if I saw Clint Eastwood, I'd probably pass out. So, you know, I've had a great opportunity to work with really great actors and great directors and great film people. And you know, but I'm super excited about everything. And that's what keeps me going is the fact that I'm just such a fan of it all. And I feel so grateful that I get to do this all the time, you know, and do this as a career. Because it's been 40 years for me.
That's amazing.
And it's been a lot. And but it's been great. And I'm so thankful for it. And I've been so lucky. And I get up now, I'm so excited to go to work every day, especially when I'm on set, because I go to set and I get to be with all my friends. And that's really what drives me. It's like, I know how to do the makeup. Believe me, I can do makeup standing on my head. But it's like, you got to have fun. And that's always my big thing is like, we got to have a great time. I love the camaraderie. I've been lucky to do like really big shows, like Space Jam was really super fun. The one with LeBron James. I had so many makeup artist friends on that show. We did so many things. I got to work with my really great friend Johnny Villanueva on that, who handled all the hair. And it's just, you just want to be with your buddies all the time. And it's just such a great opportunity. So yeah, that's what drives me, is getting up in the morning, and I'm gonna go play with my friends today. So
yeah, you're like a kid. You get to be a kid the rest of your life. This is the best.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a total kid. Yeah, it never ends. Yeah, you're total.
Jealous.
Yeah.
Paul and I are jealous. I'm calling it out, right, Paul?
Super jealous. Well, this is as close as we get. We get to hang out with Howard Berger, and I'm hanging with my buddy, and I'm sculpting. It's going to end.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, that's the way it should be. Hang with your pals and sculpt and make stuff.
That's it. Just talking shop and laughing and talking, going off on tangents. Speaking of that, and Paul, I think you know about this picture.
This is Dusk Till Dawn. I'm 100% sure of one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah. So we all got to be vampires in the movie. So the poor guy up front, that's Henrik von Ryzen, who was on our crew, and
that's you in the movie.
That's me. I turned Savini. Yeah, I buy.
Meantime.
Yeah. So I go ahead and I'm the one who turned to Savini. So I was very excited. But we all got to be vampires. Norman Cabrera, myself, Brian Ray, Jake McKinnon, Wayne Toth, Henrik, the guy that you just saw the photo before, played the mouth bitch, which is the big kind of cartoony guy. Yeah. Henrik played the mouth bitch in it in the full costume, and but yeah, it was super fun. That was a super hard film. Greg and I busted our humps on that show, but it was really cool how it worked out because we both had our walkie-talkies. Greg would be on set with Robert Rodriguez, and I'd be in the shop with the guys. It was myself, Wayne, and Norman, and Gino Crognoli, and Greg would radio like, okay, next up, Robert wants to shoot, 5 vampire girls, and we need to have a dummy that we can light on fire, and then we put it all together, send it out. It was like a short order cook. And we're like, okay, Greg, it's all coming out. And Greg's like, okay, next up, I need the Bat Monster, and and it was such a great partnership on set with him. And
who ordered the bodies on fire?
It was crazy. I mean, we were just working, and we worked so hard. And there were times we never went home. Like I was like, Greg, I'm going to sleep here. He's like, yeah, me too. Let's just.
Where was this film? Where was it filmed?
This was filmed in L.A. So.
LA, okay. They made it look like Mexico.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, the Titty Twister was on stage. It was actually a Lowry's meat packing plant, and it was in our room was where all the meat was, or. I don't know. There was a drain in the middle, and everything was tiled. So I figure they can hose all the blood down in there for real. But that was our shop, and then they built the Titty Twister, and that took 6 weeks to shoot. That's all the vampire stuff. So Robert Rodriguez shot it pretty much in order. They started with the Benny's Liquor World stuff out in Bakersfield. Then we shot all the vampire stuff, and then wherever they shot the last stuff again, I can't recall. Probably Palmdale or something, but
crazy.
But it was a great movie. I mean, that was so fun. It was such a labor of love because Robert Kurtzman, who was the K in K&B at the time, he wrote the story for this movie and wanted to make it himself, and it just he had like a 20-page synopsis, and we had known Quentin Tarantino through friends. This is before Quentin was Quentin Tarantino. Yeah, and so. Bob was like, oh, well, he had mentioned something to Scott Spiegel, a friend of ours who co-wrote Evil Dead 2, and said, oh, I want to hire a writer. And he's like, well, ask Quentin. Quentin's really good. So Bob's like, oh, let me read some of your stuff. And Bob read like Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs and, The True Romance. And none of those were, sold scripts or made films. And so Bob's like, fine, we'll hire you. So we wrote a check for $1,500. And it was the first time Quentin was paid to write a script, and then we promised if he ever made a movie, we would do the effects, for cost or for free or whatever. And we weren't sure if Quentin was ever going to make a movie, but Bob got his script and he shopped it around, and nobody liked it. And it's like, you can't. This is non-linear. You can't do this. Can't do that. Is it a monster movie or is it a gangster movie? And he got like the worst notes back. Well, anyhow, Quentin called one day and said, hey, I'm making a movie, so I'm calling the other half of the deal in. So we did all the effects, like the ear chop and gunshots, and all the blood is our blood, and Bob went and did all the set work because the deal was pretty much with him. And then the movie came out, and Quentin was the king of the universe, and then all of a sudden, he really redefined screenwriting. If you think about it, the whole non-linear, up until that point, that didn't exist. That wasn't something that was part of the fabric of screenwriting.
Hell no. Yeah.
And he changed the whole world upside down, and then everything that Quentin had written everybody wanted, and Dust
Yeah.
was one of those projects. So that's how that got going.
Perfect segue, though. I mean, and when you talk about like Pulp Fiction and that non-linear story and that whole thing, still mind-boggling to this day. You can watch it, you know, and it did at the time was, I think it was 93, 94. It totally set everybody on their ass and like, wait a minute, this is incredible. But this one here, this picture here is also incredible.
Yeah, this is us in China, in Beijing. So that's Chris Nelson, who's a rockin' makeup effects guy. He's got the Exorcist movie coming out, I think, in the next couple of weeks. So he did all the makeup effects on that. And of course, Lucy Liu, right there. And then myself. And this is us in Beijing, completely disgusting and sweaty. And because it was summertime working on Kill Bill. And we were just dying in there. And this was the head shop piece. And Quentin doesn't like visual effects. He wants everything to be practical. So when this gag came up for talk, somebody in the room said, well, that should be digital. And then that person was gone off the film after that. So we were tasked with to try to figure out how to do this. And if you look at the photo, you can kind of see like, you know, here's Lucy with the little piece, but you see you can see the top of her head is black. So Chris and I glued a ball cap onto her head, painted that black. And Garrett Immel, who is one of our artists and sculptors, he's another great makeup artist, figured out how to do this as like a little forced perspective piece. So he sculpted this wedge that's kind of pie shaped. So when Bob Richardson, who was the cinematographer, photographed it at the right angle, it looked like the top of her head was cut off because it swoops back. So it's a complete optical illusion. It wasn't like a built-up Frankenstein head like Dawn of the Dead, you know, like the helicopter guy, but it's a complete illusion. And so Chris and I applied that. I pumped the blood and all that stuff, but it was really great. And Lucy was wonderful, and Quentin was so happy. And we did about 40 blood gags a day during this shoot.
So much blood.
So much, 500 gallons of blood. And I kept calling K&B. I'm like, I need more blood. I need more blood.
Yeah.
And they kept shipping out gallons and gallons, 5-gallon buckets over and over again. But Quentin, whenever I would hear Quentin laugh on set, then I knew we were doing a good job. I knew the blood, you know, but it took me a little bit. At first, it wasn't big enough. I'm like, okay, well, this is, you know, what do you think? And he just wasn't digging it. And then I'm like, you know what? Let's just go crazy, man. I'm going to do 30-foot blood sprays. And so we figured out a way. It was myself, Chris, and Jake McKinnon. And we figured out how to do this thing with fire extinguishers that were filled with blood, charged to like 200 PSI. And I would like hook up 2 extinguishers to one gag, and I would hit it. And I kid you not, the ceilings were like 40 feet tall. There'd be blood on top of the things like draining down. And Quentin would be over there laughing his ass off. And I'm like, okay, we got it. And it was just one gag after another after another.
I love it.
So we initially went, because just so everybody knows, Kill Bill 1 and 2 is one movie. It was shot as one film.
Oh, really?
And then because it was like 4.5 hours, Quentin decided to cut it into 2 films, which I think was a great idea. So we shot one film. It took months and months and months and months and months and months.
Yeah.
So when we went to Beijing, we were all supposed to be there for 3 weeks. And so we packed for 3 weeks just to go do House of Blue Leaves. Well, House of Blue Leaves went on for months and months. And we were there for a long time. And it was hard for me to explain that to my family. But, you know, whatever happened. But I had a job to do, and I was going to do it. And Greg and I will do anything for Quentin. You know, he's been loyal to us, and we're super loyal to him. And he's a brilliant, probably my favorite filmmaker. And we had a great time. It was super hard, but you know what? We laughed so much. Chris and I, whenever Chris and I work together, it is just, we never stop laughing. And it's really nice. And we've had some really great shows. We did Little Nicky together. We did a movie called Ghost Ship, which we called Goat Shit when we were working. But Chris and I it was always comedy on set. We just could never stop laughing. But yeah, so anyhow, there's some stories about Kill Bill.
I love it. And I know like you did Hateful Eight. I mean, talk about blood. I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, Kill Bill was really the one movie that I got to be on set the whole time with Quentin.
Oh, okay.
I peppered a bit on Pulp Fiction, but Greg Nicotero really took the reins on a lot of the other stuff, and between Greg Nicotero and Jake Garber and Kerry Jones, those guys have been on set. I'm always on something when Quentin makes a movie, so I'm like, oh, if I was free, I would love to go to set and be with Quentin again. But I'm like, I'm not stuck, but I'm obligated to this show or this show. And Greg was freed up, so he was able to go and handle Hateful Eight, and Greg handled everything on Inglourious Bastards. That's all Greg.
Oh my God, I love that movie.
And Jake Garber and Andy Schoenberg and all those guys, So, but yeah, Greg has physically been on set more with Quentin than I have. So So
pivoting to more of some of your you got a little award for this movie.
Yeah, so this is stuff from some of the Narnia movies. There's some stuff from the first one, which is Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. And then there's a couple things here from Prince Caspian, which is the second Narnia film. But those were great movies. Those were great adventures. And and K&B did an extraordinary job building and designing and working so hard to make everything so perfect. And we all went to set. The first movie was all New Zealand. I was there for like 8 months. And it was like the greatest experience ever. It was it paralleled the movie and the book. I mean, I literally felt like I went through the wardrobe, and I lived in Narnia for months and months. And then when I came out of the wardrobe, I was really sad. I wanted to go back. I was depressed, but I had such a great time working with actors like James McAvoy and Tilda, and Warwick Davis and Pete Dinklage. Peter was so wonderful.
I mean,
I mean, we had that was another movie. We worked so hard, but we laughed so much, and it was great. It was my first. This is really the film I always wanted to do, and it was the very first movie. I have 3 children; they're all grown up now. But when we did this in 2004, they were young, and I had never been able. I never worked on a movie they were able to visit or see, And this was the first film, and that was really important. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this movie. So that I could actually have a film that my children can come visit and go to set and then also see the movie, and because it's a really wonderful and wondrous movie. So yeah, I mean, it was great, And Tammy Lane was my right and left hand on set, and and after the movie came out, people really liked it, and we were very lucky that our peers liked it, and we were nominated for an Academy Award, and we won an Academy Award. But you don't do this for awards. You don't do this for any of that stuff. That's all gravy. I'm really honored to have won an Oscar, and I was nominated for Hitchcock as well. But you don't get into this because I'm going to do this. I'm going to win an Oscar. This is my Emmy, or that's not what it's about. It's about doing a great job, being with your friends, doing the best work you can, and it's having a great adventure. Like, I'm always up for adventure. I love adventure. So, and there's some other guys that were with me. There's the grumpy guy is Dave Wogue, who's always grumpy. And then there's my buddy Jeff Himmel, Sonny Tilders, Rob Derry. Rob Derry went on to design and create all the motion capture headpieces for Avatar.
Oh, wow.
And so that whole motion capture, facial motion capture, it comes from Rob, and really brilliant guy. He and his brother came up with that whole thing. And then there's me, dopey me, standing there taking credit for everything. So, but that's our animatronic Aslan. And
I love that one. Yeah.
Originally, the producers were like, we're not paying to build a lion. We just want a blue figure that represents. And I'm like, that's going to be shit on set.
Yeah.
And especially with the kids,
Aslan's like the biggest. Yeah. C.S. Lewis, like, when it comes to like that character, was as much of a human as anybody.
Yeah. Well, it was important for me to like go to set with something I could be proud of, and also that would help the kids buy the fact that this lion is there. It's a And at the end of the day, they were very happy that we built this lion, and we built the stone table lion as well.
Oh, okay.
That's dying, which Jeff Himmel really masterminded that one, and Lenny McDonald, and that got those performances out of the kids, opposed to like a big blue shape where and we never let the kids see stuff. We never let Georgie, who played Lucy, ever see anything. She never saw James McAvoy as Tumnus until that first take. So we hid James from her because we wanted that expression in the movie when she comes and sees him by the lamppost. That is her real first time she met James.
The reaction is
her first reaction. There's the word I was looking for. Thank you. That was her real reaction to, oh my God, there's Mr. Tumnus. And James played the part on and off screen with her. He never wanted to break the character when he was around her, which I think was wonderful. So,
that is
and this is General Ottman, who's like my favorite Minotaur in the movie. He was played by a great Kiwi actor named Shane Rangi.
Yeah, I love this character. I know I can see why you do, but it just is so staggeringly like I think when I was a kid, you hear like Greek mythology, and this is what you picture. This is the bastard who's chasing you in the labyrinth, and this is just blows my mind. It's so good.
No, I love this, and I wanted the creature to. I wanted to do something that was kind of a cross between like a gorilla, because I love gorillas, and then like Where the Wild Things Are, because I love Where the Wild Things Are. And this was kind of my combination. And Richard Taylor at Weta, his company designed all the armor and all the weapons, and I got this move because of Richard Taylor. So Richard was supposed to do all the creature stuff for the film, but then Peter Jackson got the green light to do King Kong. So Richard had to shift gears, and although Weta was on set every day doing all the armor and weaponry, and Richard had recommended me to the director, Andrew Adamson, and said, you should really meet Howard Berger. I think he'd be great for this movie. So I interviewed along with, some other big people. I wasn't big at that time, but the other people were. And I ended up getting the show, and it changed everything for me.
I'll say.
Well deserved.
Yeah. Speaking of changing,
kids on set.
Yeah. So that's my little son Jacob, who's playing a fawn. So all the kids were down. This is on the second Narnia, and they all came down when we were in Prague. And so I threw Jake in. I did a makeup on Jake. He has a nose piece and ears and all that stuff. And he's now, he doesn't look like this anymore. He's 27 years old, taller than I am. Has one or two tattoos. But it's a great photo. But what was fun about this is, so this is at the end of the movie, and there's a big parade because they beat all the bad guys, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
And so Tilda Swinton had called me, and she's like, I really want to be in the movie. And I said, well, the White Witch isn't in this one, but she's like, no, I'm going to come to set with my family, and we want to be centaurs, but don't tell anybody. And I went, okay. So we made up Tilda and her partner and her two kids, and we didn't tell anybody. And so they're in the scene. There are centaurs in the scene. And afterwards, I walked them over to the director, Andrew Adamson. And I'm like, oh, I just wanted you to meet these actors. And he's like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And then he's like, Tilda? And I said, yeah, I've been holding off. I haven't told anybody, but Tilda and Sandro and the kids are all here. We made them up, and they've been working all day as background. But that's the type of person Tilda Swinton is. She's super, super cool,
Wow. And I had no idea.
Oh, she's so awesome. She's just like, she's one of the gang. And we had because our calls were so early in the morning, we had little turnaround, which means like from the time we wrap to the time we have to be back. They rented this like ski lodge right by the set, and we each had a cabin, and we had parties all the time every night. It was crazy out there.
Yeah.
So Tilda caught wind, and she's like, she came out for one party, and then she went and told production, I'm moving out of the hotel. I'm moving into where Howard is. And she got a cabin, and then she threw crazy parties every single night we were out there. I mean, I don't even know how we got up in the morning. It was pretty rough stuff. We'd have a big bonfire. We'd be having fun and, drinking and all this great. And Gino Acevedo came out one day, and we had the best time. We were laughing our asses off. So, and then this is at the Oscars. By the way, I just want to preface: I did not do Will or Steve's makeup. they did their own. So clearly, and they're very good. I tried to hire Steve, but he was unavailable. He was on some TV show called The Office.
Oh yeah,
little TV show. As well.
But this is the night that Tammy and I won the Oscars, which was a really wonderful night, and we couldn't ask for two better presenters. I mean, Steve Carell and Will Ferrell, who I think are two of the funniest human beings on earth. So
I agree.
But it's cool. And there's my buddy. There's my brother, Nicotero.
Yes.
So yeah, he is, and I'll tell you, Greg has been a great friend forever, and literally like my brother, because I don't have a brother. I have a great stepbrother. I have a stepbrother who's great, Bradley. But I mean, Greg and I have been together through thick and thin, through marriages, that's plural, and children, and ups and downs. But no matter what, we always come out, loving each other, and it's been a great relationship and friendship and partnership. So, like I said, 35 years of K&B is, when we first started K&B, people thought it was a joke and we wouldn't be around. There were 3 of us, and like, this is going to fall apart really soon. Well, all those guys all went to the wayside, fell to the wayside, and we're one of the few studios that's still alive and kicking, and employ a bunch of people and doing quite well. And Greg and I have tons of laughs, and it's super nice. But what's great is we like different things, and that's why it works. So Greg obviously has mastermind Walking Dead. All that stuff is him. I have nothing. I always say I have nothing to do with Walking Dead. Nothing. It's all Greg Nicotero, and he's done a brilliant job parlaying that into being a director and being an executive producer on all the shows. And he's just a super smart guy and knows his stuff. And then creating the Creepshow TV series that's on Shudder. That's all Greg. But I love fantasy and character makeup, so I'm not into the zombie world, and I've now, after Kill Bill, I'm good with not doing blood and guts anymore. I did about 10,000 blood effects. So, but it's what makes the partnership work, because we like different things. If we both like zombies, that could be a problem. If
you'd be the zombie shops, that'd be it.
Yeah, and we're very diverse, and Greg likes this and I like this, but we have the common ground that we both are movie fanatics. And we love monsters and movies, and we like doing makeup effects. So this is very, very fat me. Wow, I didn't realize how fat I was back then. Anyhow, I feel like I'm wearing the Hitchcock makeup.
Here, I'll move to the next picture.
Oh, no, that's okay. No, that's okay. No, go back to that. Go back to the other one. That's okay. I don't mind. It's it's just like, Jesus Christ, that guy ain't Howard. So this is Peter Montagna, who is a great makeup artist, and this is obviously Tony Hopkins, us doing the makeup for Hitchcock, which was like, it was a full thing we call a horseshoe piece, and then he had a full nose tip and ears, and then a hair piece and all that. And you can go to the next slide. This is actually digital. This is not the makeup, but this is how we kind of figured out how to do the makeup. So there's a great artist that works with us named John Wheaton, and John did these concepts, and this was to show Tony where we were going and where we were going to take it. And this is actually what the first test makeup looked like, which I ended up changing. And I had a great sculptor, Richie Alonso, do the sculptures for this makeup. But this was like the first time it looked too much like Hitchcock, and I started to lose Tony when we did the first test. And I'm like, we got to get back. We got to get more Tony. We need more Hopkins. So
that's a good problem to have. When the makeup is so good, you lose the actor because it looks like the original person.
Yeah, and it was like, I did that test makeup, and Tony was like, "I don't need to act." And I'm like, "No, you do." So this isn't the right. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, it looks just like Hitchcock." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not supposed to be." And my wife, really, who's a fine artist, she, gave me the term portrait, and I'm like, "Okay, it's a portrait makeup. It's not a likeness makeup. It's a portrait."
I like that.
And I really love that. I always use it. I'm like, because it is. It's a good Alfred Hitchcock makeup on Tony Hopkins. There's aspects that look like Hitchcock or are reminiscent, but it's not. Tony doesn't look. If you put them side by side, they wouldn't be it. So. And then this is with my beautiful Mila Kunis, who endured this torment every day on Oz the Great and Powerful. Oh my God. She was such a champ, and I knew she hated it. Peter Montagna and I applied this makeup every day to her, and I just tried to find ways to make it easy on her. Changing materials, changing the way I did the application, way I took the makeup off, and I just adore her. She made it so easy for me, and I a couple of years later, we saw each other, and she's like, Howie, I hated that. I hated every day, but you were just so nice to me, and you took care of me, and you made sure I was okay all day long. And this was actually the most exhausting makeup I ever had done. Aside from I was just, really focused to make it look beautiful every day, the best I could. but I would chase Mila around. I could never let her out of my eyesight because Mila would just go do things she shouldn't be doing in a makeup. You know, like, I'm going to have a cheeseburger. I'm like, no. You know, and I'd walk in and like, there's, I'll tell a really quick story because I know time's running out. But I walked on set one night and they had second meal and it was barbecue. And I walked in, I'm like, barbecue. I'm like, that smells good. I went, oh no. And I ran over and I looked at Mila and I said, do not have barbecue. She's like, I know, I want to so bad, but I promise I won't. And I'm like, okay. So I left her alone. It was time to shoot. And she's been in the makeup like 14, 15 hours because Sam Raimi, who directs the movie, I love Sam, but he doesn't have much of a concept of time. So we just keep going and going and going. And the makeup was starting to get really ratty. It lasts about 10 hours, and this was about 15 hours. So I went over to touch her up, and I noticed there was something on the tip of her nose. And I looked at it, and I went like this. And I went, barbecue sauce. And she just said, Howie, I couldn't help myself. It was barbecue. I had to. And I'm like, okay. It's just she had barbecue sauce all over her nose. Anyhow, the makeup was all ratty around the mouth. And I went to Sam. I'm like, we can't shoot this tonight. Let's start fresh tomorrow, please. And Sam agreed. He's like, okay, buddy. Well, let's clean her up and we'll do it tomorrow first up. I'm like, thank you. I cleaned her up. She's like, Howie, I'm so sorry, but it was barbecue. It was beyond me. I couldn't help myself.
I love it. I love that.
Oh, that's my buddy Gino Acevedo.
There he is.
Yeah, Gino's a friend of the show. He's been on 3 times.
He's the greatest. And this is on Spawn. This is when we did Spawn. So this is 1996, I think.
Oh, my gosh.
And yeah, we have the Pumpkinhead too standing behind.
Right behind you, yeah.
Yes, the Pumpkinhead, as we called him, since he was Pumpkinhead too. And this is right before we all cut our hair. So we all had long hair. We're still rocking monster dudes. So,
It not only was your hair long and dark, but it was black. So you guys were really young. That's the.
We were very.
I wanted to talk, but
we were all full of hair back then.
Oh, so. young punks.
That's for sure.
A couple other. We are running out of time, but I did want to talk about this just for a quick second.
Yeah,
amazing book.
I've got a copy. Paul's got a copy.
This book? You mean this book? One. Yeah. It's a book I co-wrote with my good friend Marshall Julius, who's a British writer and a complete squid and nerd and fanboy. And he had been bugging me for 14 years or whatever, 12 years to write a book. And I was just always so busy. When the pandemic hit, he took full advantage of it and said, okay, you have no excuse. Let's write a book. So I said, well, I don't want to write a book about me or K&B, but I want to write a book about all my friends and what their experiences are. And it throws a pretty wide net because it's makeup effects people, it's some actors, it's editors. It really is a lot of different people and what makeup effects means to them and really fun stories.
The stories are amazing. I have to agree with you. The stories that's when you have it from their perspective, it is so fun. It's such a fun read. And then the pictures, the behind the scenes stuff, just wait a minute. That was my childhood favorite movie, and this is them working on it. It's just mind blowing.
Yeah, no, we were lucky. I mean, part of the thing I wanted to do is not use any photos that had been seen before. So I went to everybody that we interviewed. We interviewed about 67 people and asked them for photos from their private collections. And it worked out great. And I mean, this book is filled with. I collected 4,000 photos. There's about 1,000 photos in here, and I think it's about 80,000 words. And it's great, and Guillermo del Toro was kind enough to write the foreword, and Seth MacFarlane, was kind enough to write the afterword. It was so nice of them, and I really appreciate it. And I would appreciate everybody that lent their time. Marshall and I did these 2-hour Zoom interviews for like 2 months to get everybody interviewed, and we started writing, and we had a very short period of time to produce the book, and it was with a company called Wellback, which is in London, and we had a very good editor, Ross, and it worked out great. But I mean, our fingers Marshall and I would meet every morning at 4 a.m., my 4 a.m., and then 8 hours later in the UK, and go over all the pages that were being sent to us from the publisher, and changing stuff and moving stuff around and going, no, this is what we want, this one. So it wasn't like write it, send a bunch of photos, and however it goes together. Marshall and I 100% put this book together with, it was a lot of work and a labor of love. And
Yeah.
you know, you can order it on Amazon, and it's a great book.
It's tremendous.
I'm super proud, and there's cool shirts. So there.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I gotta get one. I gotta get one.
You don't worry, guys. You'll get shirts. Don't worry.
I love it.
So, but
Can I get it on Amazon?
what's that?
Can I get it on Amazon?
You can get the book on Amazon, but yeah, I'll send you a shirt.
Oh, I love it.
But yeah, you can go to mastersofmakeupeffects.com, and that'll take you to the website where you can buy the book, I think, as well. But it has all this cool merchandise stuff, T-shirts and hoodies and buttons and all that shit. But I'll send you guys shirts, so don't worry about it.
Oh,
What a guy! You know, this book. I mean, I've become a fanboy of it, obviously, because it's the coolest thing. It's like looking through Fangoria for the first time. You know what I mean? But it has stories that go with it, and it's from all your favorite. Like, they're your friends, but they're our favorite artists and stuff. And some we've been lucky enough to have on the show, like John Caglione Jr., Mikey Rotella, Matt Winston, Steve Wang. Like, I love being able to read stories and actually know that I've actually met that person, and I can. It's like living vicariously through them, I guess.
Yeah, no, they're all great, and I wanted, you know, it was just a great time to talk to my friends during the pandemic, and I learned a lot of new things about some of them that I never knew, you know, and it was really fun. And Rick Baker, you know, was so kind to you know, do an interview, and so many people. And Christopher Tucker, it was his last interview before he passed away, and who did The Elephant Man and Company of Wolves. That was a really, really great thing. And I'd never met Chris, and we just reached out, and he was up for the task. And that was really super special to hear all his stories. And he gave us access to photos I'd never seen before from Elephant Man and some other shows. So
that's so cool.
They're great photos too. I mean, those are some pretty big photos too that are high quality.
Yeah, those are ones he shot because he was also a photographer. So he took all the photos himself, which is really nice.
That's the other thing about the book that I love too, because I'm an ape at best when it comes to, if too many words put Paulie to sleepy. So the pictures, it's like, look, it's like a monster comic book, but real, you know what I mean? It's visually stimulating to the max. Like when you were just talking about the Elephant Man pictures there, it's a study. You could literally try and recreate that sculpt off those photos. They're so clear.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're beautiful. And what you were saying about the text. So I have dyslexia, and I feel like everybody has dyslexia if you're a creative, or has learning disabilities, reading disabilities, and I did when I was younger, and I taught myself how to deal with it. So I wanted to make sure that the book was in a specific print and typography and spacing so that it would be easy for people that have reading disabilities to read the book. And actually I've heard from people who said, this book is real. You did this on purpose, didn't you? Because I can read everything without any trouble. And I said, yeah, that's exactly, because I have trouble. And so again, I read 5 million scripts a year. So I've trained myself to be able to read things and, you know, flip them back and forth. But it was really important for me to make sure this book could be read by people that had reading disabilities or dyslexia or learning disabilities, because I suffered from that as a kid all the time and continue to. And as I was talking to people for this book, I started to realize everybody else has dyslexia and has learning disabilities.
I just learned that I have it too, because your book was such an easy read. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, there you go. That's what, and that was one of the big things. It was really important for me to make sure the book wasn't like crammed together little, you know, trying to squish it all together.
Right.
But
Howard, your book cured dyslexia.
Yeah.
You're a genius.
There you go. Yeah.
One book is all it took. Well, Howard, it's been amazing having you on the show. We would love to have you back eventually. Maybe we can get you to carve a pumpkin someday.
Yeah, I will certainly disappoint. I'm gonna have to practice. I'm gonna practice, like you said, on an apple and a potato, and then
anything. Go style and just go crazy. Yeah.
And I have to get some fancy sculpting pumpkin tools like you guys have.
We'll send you a set of tools. How's that?
All right. I'll send you swag and you send me tools. How's that?
We'll send you. We'll sag swap. Swag. See, now I got dyslexia again.
Yeah. See, there you go.
I got to read more book. Well, this is Hoops 511 is where we can find you on Instagram, which is just a treasure trove. You're really good at keeping up on the posts. I love it. I could go down the rabbit hole all the time. And obviously KNBFX.com. Where else can we find the great Howard?
There's also, we have a KNB. It's the official KNB. EFX group on Instagram, which is great. And yeah, I mean, that's Instagram's my vibe. I like Instagram because I love looking at people's work. I've met people that I really liked on Instagram, reached out to them, and actually have hired them based on things they've posted. And I'm like that. Like I just did a show in Santa Fe, and I met a girl. Her name's Allie Swift, and I saw a photo she had done, and I was like, she's really good, and she lives here. I'm going to hire her. And we did, and she was with us the entire run of the show, and she did a great job. But I've done that in the past. So, posting great stuff on Instagram is a great thing to do. Also, reaching out. Feel free to reach out to me at any time. I'm always good about responding, and I spend a lot of time responding to people. But I promise you, because when I was a kid and I wrote people fan letters and I never heard back, I thought that sucked. And I promised myself, if I ever get to a point where somebody writes me, I will write them back. And that's totally what I have done my entire professional career. I will write everybody back, and there you go. So
that just shows character there. And it's really appreciated, because when I reached out, I've reached out to some of the other guys before, obviously, and some people have people that manage their Instagram accounts. I don't know what the deal is. Some people just don't read the messages, but you got back to me right away, and it was actually unnerving. Like, holy shit, he just got right back to me.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty proactive. So
it's appreciated. It shows a huge amount of character, and you're a great guy, and it's been unbelievable to talk to you, and you're a legend. Thanks. So just keep up the good work, I guess, is what we're saying.
I will. For a little bit longer, I will.
Doggone it. Yeah, it seems like you're having a good time, so why not keep it up?
I'll go a little bit longer.
Go as long as you can.
Yeah.
From myself, Matt, and Howard, we'd like to thank you for joining us this evening. This is obviously where you can find us on the interwebs. We have all those icons, except for the bird, which is now an X apparently, but I don't really do much on that. We just kind of keep it there. But we are Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, obviously, and we are on Twitch and TikTok.
Apparently, yeah. Okay.
We're everywhere. We're everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
And 'tis the season. Carving pumpkins is in full swing. So,
and I promise we're going to come back and show everybody the results of our battered clown.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that, and we'll tag Howard and make sure that everyone gets a chance to see our finished product, because we didn't get a chance today because we're just enamored by talking. So
no time to work. I'm listening. But all right, so that's it for another episode of Carvers and Creators. We'd like to thank everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
You got it.